She was always a very active kid, always doing something. When we lived down in the big house on the highway, and she'd be standing at the window, the dining room window, waiting for me to walk home from work. I could always see that little silhouette of her standing there, waiting for me to come home from work. Well, she was kind of lonely there with the folks, you know, they were old people, and she was just glad that I'd get home and do something with her. She wanted a puppy, a dog. And my mother said no, she could not have a dog because we lived close to the highway. And the dog might run out on the highway and she'd run and get it, you know. Or else the dog would run out there and be killed. And so I got her some rabbits. And she had them under the back porch there at the steps at the folks. Digging a hole, we were burying them. And she said, well, why did they die, Mama? And I said, it's because you handled them too much. I told you not to handle them so much. She said, well, I was just loving them. She loved to run and play with the neighbor kids. She was kind of the leader in the neighborhood. The Zimmer kids. And she went out to Paninsky's, and her and Larry got in the Grandma Paninsky's chicken house, and he had a little red wheelbarrow. And they put the eggs all in. They took the eggs out of the nest and put them in there. Then they went out in the grove and was throwing them. And well, Paninsky just about had a fit because that was her grocery money for the week. You know?
Oh no!
And here they were breaking all those eggs, just having a high old time. They had a whole wheel. Well, she always wanted to run away. When I wouldn't let her do something, or when she couldn't do anything, she'd say, "Well, I'm going to run away." So I said, okay, one day. I said, take your sweater, you can go. It's been about 5, 6 or so, maybe a little older, I don't know. And she walked clear as far as the fairgrounds. And she kept turning around. I was watching her, and she kept turning around. And pretty soon, I guess she thought she was getting pretty far away from Mom. Pretty soon she turned around, and she came crying back.
So she didn't make it too far?
No, she got as far as the fairgrounds, which was pretty far for her.
Yeah.
I remember I put an apple and a cookie in a little sack and give it to her. I said, here's your lunch. Oh, I just always loved her. She was a very endearing daughter. Always so very good to me. Very respectful. I don't think she ever talked back to me. But she would if she'd been in trouble. Her and I went on a cruise a few years ago, and we were put out in the ocean, and we got into a storm, and that big old boat was just, well, it was 40-foot swells, they said. And everybody was getting sick and falling over. And there was a nice Italian young man who sat at our table. And he said, now I'm going to escort you to your cabin. He said, you can't walk alone. So he got a hold of Joanne and I, and he escorted us down to the cabin. And oh, we were just bouncing up and down. And I got right into bed and hung on. I put my life jacket by the bed. So if I fell out, I'd land on that. And then they had some kind of a railing, and I remember hanging on to that for dear life. And Joanne said, well, I've got to brush my teeth, she said. I can't go to bed without brushing my teeth. And so she was getting her toothbrush and stuff out of her suitcase, and we hit one of those big swells, and she went flying right by me, right out the door into the hallway.
Oh my God.
And I said, I bet you're not going to brush your teeth. No, I'm getting into bed. But I remember we just bounced all night like that. Chris wanted to go deep sea diving, I guess it was. And so we got on this boat, Joey and Mike and I and Tim, or Chris. And it was kind of rough, you know, and I said, boy, this is rough. I don't think we should do this. And the guys that were running the boat said, oh, if we get out far enough, it'll be smoother. Well, it got worse and worse, and we all got nauseated. And I was on the side of the boat and throwing up over the side of the boat, and the dolphins would go sailing right by. And Joanne laughed afterwards. She said, I was leaning over, and a dolphin went right by. I could have reached out and touched it, you know, and I just said, hi. Well, Joy, I wish you a very, very happy birthday and a good year ahead. I know this last year has been kind of bad, but the next year I'm sure is going to be better. And I just hope we can see each other before too long.